Greetings, everyone. It's Friday. It's our favorite time of the week. It is Epic Cash Live. It is noon Eastern time, ladies and gentlemen. And today we have a couple of special announcements. We have Max Freeman, founder of Epic Cash. He's the guy that when he talks, he looks a lot like the back of a $20 bill. And we have, he's going by Zoom Dude, but that's Yoga Dude. You know Yoga. He is one of our favorite community members who's been here from the beginning, and I say master of all. El McMurphy, the guy, former CFO, former crypto trader, made his living for 2 months trading crypto and did very well. Or 2 years, I'm sorry, 2 years. And did very well, and then he went narrow and deep into Epic Cash, and he has probably the most resolve out of most. Let me just say, I think everybody on this call equally has the same resolve. But so you know the drill, guys. We're going to give you an update because today is Friday, and give you a little peek behind the curtain, show a little leg. But before we do, let's talk Enrique numbers. Enrique, I am going to share my screen, sir, and we're going to go to the, let's go to this one here. Why don't you explain to the uninitiated what you've done and where we stand?
All right. So what we do here is we are measuring the performance of Epic Cash, in this case, versus the top 20 cryptocurrencies by market cap ranking. And what it consists of is basically on January 1st, I took a snapshot of the price of the top 20 coins and a snapshot of the price of Epic. And the thought experiment is that you take $1,000 and you invest it into Epic, and $1,000 and you invest it into each of the coins to see how much money you would make by the end of this year. So as you can see in the first column, you have the symbols of the coins. On the second column, you have the investment that you made on January 1st, $1,000 across the board. And on the third column, you have the price of each coin. As you can see, Epic was trading at $3.78 on the first of this year. And on the next column, on the fourth one, you see total coins bought with $1,000. And in Epic's case, you could have bought 264 coins. And the way this works is that every Friday for the live, I take a snapshot at 10 a.m. Eastern to track the performance of each coin and see, what its growth or what its, how much it's lost. And we keep track of this every Friday, so people can tune in and see how well they would have done had they invested in Epic or in this coin, on that coin. And you can see there, the price today for Epic was $1.94. And on the next column, you have the value of your initial $1,000 investment. As you can see, everything is in the red. The best performing coin has been Atom, and $1,000 invested into it on January 1st would be worth $882 today. And then on the next column, you have the unrealized profit. You would have lost $118 with Atom. And you can see for the rest of the coins that, they pretty much, they've corrected significantly this year. In Epic's case, it's you'd be down $487. Luna, which performed well last year, you'd be down $443. And on the next column, you can see the percentage increase or decrease. Most of them are down double digits, over 20%, quite a few, 40%, Algorand, Luna, Epic. And in the next column, you have the market cap, which this is a key metric that I always look at, because you have the market cap in millions on January 1st. So you can take a look at all of them. And in the case of Epic, it was $51 million. And today it was $27 million. So yeah, that's basically a picture of the market. It's all been red, even though we're seeing maybe signs of a reversal here today. So we'll see what happens. But the point of this whole thought experiment is that, in my opinion, I'm pretty sure that Epic will be number one at the top of this, at the end of the year.
Yeah, so I agree with you. And I think that if you take a look at Epic, and if you're into football, I'm going to say right now that Epic is kind of like the Cincinnati Bengals. And, Max Freeman, you're kind of like Joe Burrow. And by the end of this Super Bowl run this year, this crypto Super Bowl run, I'm pretty sure Epic is going to be at the top. This is just, look, we all know, and he who shall not be named, we had is it disgruntled? I think it is. Well, and that's the reason for this is you had one person just sell a huge bag. And so when we look at this, I want to stop sharing this and show you a trajectory, because this week we have had like these, I think it got down to $1.40, and then it is just increasingly this week been green candle, green candle, green candle. So it feels to me, Enrique, I don't know what your thoughts are, that we're starting to get back to the normalcy that we realized before a big bag holder sold. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. If you can pull up
the trajectory, if you take a look at it, take a look at this. Yes, while we may be the yellow line, I kind of like the trajectory of where we've been this last week.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's not forget that this is measuring 1 month of data, so you always have to zoom out to look at the trend that Epic is in, and use a log scale to to have a better visualization of where the price is headed. So, well, I would like to, so I want people to notice that trajectory, and because it's going to continue to go that way, because as you'll hear today, we're going to have over the next, I would say, months, good news announcement after good news announcement. The fact is, there are so many good news announcements that we're going to have to kind of cherry pick which ones each week we're going to share. And we have two today that I think are going to really, really excite you. But I want to quickly just touch on, because we always do, the, let me make sure I see. Yeah. So this is, I want you to just look at the yellow. On the other one, Epic was all the way at the bottom. This is us versus the top 20 privacy coins. And I just want you to see that yellow. Next week, I guarantee you the yellow will be higher and higher, and the week after higher, and same on the other chart. So this is where it's going to be really, really fun for us to rewind back to the beginning of the year, the month of January. Let's say we're in May, and say, remember back then when everyone was just kind of hangdog, head down? Oh man, Eeyore is in town. Well, go ahead and explain this, because this, you're just going to see the yellow rise to the top, and then it's going to become number one green. And I don't think it's going to take us too long. Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. I think we'll be leading the chart, or at least be near the top in a relatively short amount of time. Yes. That's my prediction.
Okay, so I'm going to stop that, because the next one is going to be new. Everyone. Yeah. And this one is, I can't wait for you to explain this one. Pullbacks following all-time highs related to Epic.
Yeah.
Educate them, us.
Okay. Like you explained, this recent pullback, had a cause, and it won't be the first or the last time that a whale or many holders, sell for X or Y reason. So we always have to expect volatility as the network grows. Someday, maybe 10, 15 years from now, who knows, the price fluctuations will be minimal. But for now, we got to get used to this sort of volatility. Probably when we get to $20, we may correct down to, you know, $8. Who knows? But this chart basically shows all-time highs that Epic Cash has reached and how much it's pulled back and how much time it's taken for it to reach a new all-time high. So if we look at the first, at the second row, yeah, we will see that on August 7th, the price of Epic was 55 cents. All right. And then it started correcting. And on October 15th of that same year, you know, just a few months later, it corrected back to 10 cents. That's equal to an 81% decrease in value.
Ouch.
And yeah, I mean, that was pretty brutal, but nothing new if you look at the, you know, the future corrections that Epic has had. Then on November 26, 2020, it got back up to 57 cents. It took 42 days for it to reach 57 cents from after pulling back to 10 cents. And
42 days. That's
42 days.
Weeks. That's exactly 6 weeks.
Yeah. And then a couple months later, it corrected back to 14 cents on January of 2021. And that is equal to a 76% correction. Then it went, you know, 1 month later, it went up to $1.19. So it only took 31 days for it to reach a new all-time high. Then it corrected back to 12 cents in, you know, March of last year, which was where the
overflow,
you know, the technical incident, occurred. So that corrected 90%. And that did take some time, you know, for obvious reasons to build it back up. And on October 28th of last year, we reached $3.79. And shortly
and by the way,
that,
just to do the math, that 190 days, that translates into just basically a half a year. So that took a half a year, and 2 months of that we were not trading, as I understand. Right?
Yeah, it took a half a year, but it went from 12 cents to $3.79, or a 3,000% increase. So it took longer, but the increase was substantially higher than the previous ones. And so after reaching $3.79, a few days later, it corrected down to $1.71, or 55%. And then a month later, it reached a new all-time high of $6.69, and it took 34 days to do that. And after that, it corrected to $1.18, which was on January 30th, last week. And at that point, it was down 82%. So it's been well over 50 days, almost 60 days since we touched all-time high. So you know, it's if you look at history, we should be able, if history doesn't repeat itself. But Epic has shown that it has recovered rather quickly after pulling back from an all-time high. So we're gonna see, you know, how many days it takes us to get it to a new all-time high, and I don't think it'll be too long. But like I said, you know, the market moves where it moves, and you know, I'm optimistic about it.
Well, I do have to.
Sorry, Kobe. It was 10 weeks of mining supply dumped onto the market, and essentially just like hitting any bid, like, you know, sky is falling, I'm out type of fire sale, blood in the streets type of behavior. And so historically, we've been small enough where exits of individuals that came in early and had a big gain on a large position as they moved out. Depending on how they did that, we can have some vicious retraces. But the standard is that 5,760 coins a day are created, and usually there's a demand imbalance. We just got up to 2023 holders on Veet, which is great. I think that was what, 1,600, something like that, around Christmas when all this started. So this will be in the rear view mirror, like all the prior dips, and fresh faces come and go, mostly more come than go. And every time we have a retrace and then a rally, we kind of form a muscle memory that it doesn't need to be so scary.
Right.
Bitcoin Obituaries is a great site. They have 403 times that Bitcoin Core has been announced dead. So cats have 9 lives. A Bitcoin standard network design, unless it's compromised, as is the core design and hasn't been tested yet, but ours won't fail in those same ways that system is vulnerable to. If they can last 403 lives, then we can probably do 10x that.
And Yoga, I love how you talk about the shifting hands. Can you?
Yeah, ultimately, I just think that whenever you see things like this happen, to me, it's an indication of just Epic going from the hands of those who believe less into the hands of those who believe more. People ultimately get the price they deserve.
Yeah,
so that's it.
And I just want to share something. Shout out to you, Rich. You know who you are and who I'm talking to and about. But a dear friend of mine that I've been in business with for a quarter century. I remember a year ago, I reached out to him and asked I'm like, hey boss, I know that you're probably miles ahead of me, but can you give me any insight on investing in crypto? And his response was, know nothing about it. I've never invested. I know zero about it. Well, anyway, he circled back this last week to do an outreach to me and just say, hey, I'd like to talk to you about crypto and specifically Epic Cash. And so I spent probably an hour on the phone with him talking about Epic Cash and have subsequently walked him through getting his Epic or his Vite wallet and guiding him through Coinbase, upgrade to Coinbase Pro, connect your accounts, KYC, all of that stuff to get the BTC. And when he clears, Coinbase jail, and I do recognize after the fact that I guess there are other exchanges where they don't hold your BTC that long, but it is what it is. It was the easy button at the time. But here's a guy who, is an amazing financial mind getting into the game. And I could not be more delighted about it, because that just tells me, and I will tell you, I'm so happy we had the retrace, because I know what's coming over the next couple of months. So my good friend is getting in now at these discounted levels and is going to enjoy that blowing past the next all-time high. And that's the dopamine hits that we all look for. I just think the whole lesson, Enrique, thank you. You rock. That was an amazing chart, this pullback following all-time highs. I just think the lesson there is those who are patient are the ones who are going to just live a more sane life. You don't have to, be Chicken Little and go outside saying the sky is falling all the time in crypto. No, just sit back. But that's on us, frankly. That's on us on Fridays, Epic Cash Live, to be able to educate you, to talk you off the ledge, which, Enrique, you just did for a lot of people, because I had not seen that perspective of pullbacks following all-time highs and how quickly they rebound to a new all-time high. So awesome to you. Thank you. Okay, that wraps up segment 1. Now let's talk about, I know I've kind of hinted at some amazing things that some announcements, and I'm gonna come clean with you. There's probably a half a dozen, and it's almost which one of them is gonna hit first. And some things you think are gonna hit first, and then there may be something that just gives a little speed bump to like, oh, we got to paper this legally or whatever. But because so many great things are happening, it's like you can expect on Epic Cash Live Fridays that we're just going to continue to knock them off one by one. Today, Max, you have a very, very special announcement. As a matter of fact, I think 2. And I'll hand the floor over to you, sir.
All right. So we're working on the communications, what we say, what they say, how we say it. Both of these have been in gestation for quite some time, multiple lifetimes in the crypto sense. And so there are many more like this. The tech, if you look at the subway map, the tech that's out there, we generally adapt it from existing ecosystems or figure out how to plug into it or partner with them in some way. It always makes sense to build off of the success of things that work and that are already established and have passed the test of time. And so our original thought process regarding how to approach DeFi, if we go back all the way to 2019, coming into 2020 on the first ERC20, what was it called, experiment that we did when we first had a big run up to 6,000 Satoshis back then. It was on excitement that Epic would be accessible, purchasable through Uniswap. And of course, at that time, Ethereum was very cost effective and was a better alternative to everything else out there. And so the original thought process was mainly Ethereum, not centric, but it's certainly Ethereum first. Because the 30 or so smart contract platforms that we will plug into in various ways are now coming into their own, whereas back then they were twinkles in the eye, and it's not clear which ones are going to make it. Many dropped out of the race despite initial promise, so the menu has changed a bit over time. Where we stand right now is Epic does not have smart contract capabilities on chain. We cannot do all of the things like Uniswap and all of the staking and farming and lending and all this wonderful stuff that you can do with an EVM, it's Ethereum Virtual Machine compatible system using a language called Solidity is what most of the ecosystem is based on today. Avalanche is based on its superior technology versus what Ethereum came to market with oh so long ago at this point, is rapidly just dominating. There's speed that you can get at the expense of decentralization with some trade-offs, like Solana is fast. It's also cost effective, but it also goes down when it gets clogged and the engineers at Solana have to go and restart it. That can't happen with Avalanche. It's a novel consensus mechanism. And so a swap or some kind of smart contract transaction that uses hundreds or thousands of dollars in gas might be cents to tens of cents on Avalanche. I think $1 is a huge cost for Avalanche. And instead of uncertainty, whether the transaction is going to actually go through and whether you're going to end up paying hundreds of dollars in gas fees, and then some miner went into the mempool and took away your profit by front running and sandwiching and stuff like that. It's newer tech. There's things that can't happen due to the design of Avalanche that are fundamental to Ethereum and never going away. So essentially, we think that the brightest story in the future of DeFi is Avalanche, which is why we're so excited that they also see potential in us. There's a lot of different moving parts to what we're going to be doing. They're a large organization. I think they have about 150 staff the last I checked. And so we're linking up with them in various parts of our ecosystem to figure out where to plug in. And the lowest hanging fruit of that is actually the E1 wrapped Epic token. And so right now, if you want to do DeFi on Avalanche, you have one option, which is wrapped Bitcoin Core, or WBTC. And WBTC relies on a centralized custodian by the name of BitGo, where if something happens to their underlying coins, their wallet gets compromised, they get in a lawsuit, embezzlement, any kind of bumps in the road can make WBTC go to zero in a heartbeat. It involves trust, and it's also censorable. So they can say, oh, you've been a bad BTC, we're gonna block you. We've seen increasing censorship of Tether and Circle as an example. So that's a very real risk. And so there is no Bitcoin standard Nakamoto consensus proof of work 21 million economic store of value asset in the Avalanche ecosystem, except WBTC, which really isn't much appreciated by the market. I think about 1.5% or something like that of BTC are actually wrapped. And that speaks to the start of the demand, but also that it's really the tip of the iceberg. And if those problems of trust and permission and centralization and censorship could be solved, which they are with our other partner, OneChain, and that's also been very supportive, then all of a sudden the Avalanche ecosystem can do Bitcoin on Avalanche and not have to worry that something will blow up. So we think that's pretty exciting. They like it too. There's a lot of noise and a lot of activity happening in Avalanche, and it's a pay-to-play world out there. And so we will have to develop some new communication skills to punch through that noise. Those are definitely solvable. And if people realize that they can get access to the hardest money standard that exists without having to compromise on the other essential properties that makes the original Bitcoin design that Epic follows so special, it can really be a force multiplier for Avalanche because it's something that Ethereum doesn't have. You want to do Bitcoin on Ethereum, you have WBTC and REN BTC, which both involve trade-offs and compromises. So it's just another example of standing on the shoulders of the giants that came before and recognizing their successful legacy and not reinventing the wheel when we don't have to.
So what does that mean to me as an Epic Cash holder? Why should that excite me, Max?
So that's a great question. So if you want to do yield farming, staking, and lending, for example, services like Aave, P2P lending, Axial, Maximus, and StakeDAO, those are all available on Avalanche. There's many more. We definitely can use input on which services would be most interesting for us to go and have a conversation with to facilitate making them available. There's some nuances about getting the logo to show up and make sure it doesn't display a warning to say, hey, be careful, you're not adding a bad contract, whitelisting and things like that. So I'd say the core use cases of DeFi are what I just mentioned, and then also swapping. So being able to move from any token to any token on services such as Pangolin, Paraswap, OpenSwap, and Trader Joe, the barriers to innovation become so low that anyone that can generate a better mousetrap can go out there and get market share. And as that innovation blossoms, we're plugged in front and center. And so what this means is that we don't need to pick a horse. We don't need to say, oh, well, we think Binance is going to be the best exchange forever, and we're going to go list there and hope that everything's okay. Anything that happens on Avalanche, anything that anyone does, our asset can move there, and the users can move there. And so we actually can use those muscle memories and those skill sets of executing that playbook as a cookie cutter and a model to take that to the other chains that we have a roadmap and a prioritization that's very strategic as far as the order in which we go about them. But essentially what we're talking about here with Avalanche is what we're going to do to all of the other smart contract chains as well.
Okay, Max. So correct me if I'm wrong, but Avalanche is one of the big ones, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this means every user of Avalanche is now going to have access to swapping for Epic too, right? So we're talking about adoption. And with adoption comes what?
Metcalfe's law, yeah. So the way to think of it is anyone that can find a way to get onto Avalanche, usually most people use MetaMask, are familiar with that familiar swap type of browser-based interface at this point. So millions upon millions of people and everyone that ever comes to Avalanche will have a much, much easier way to buy Epic. And why you should care as an existing Epic holder before that happens is there will be opportunities. If you think about it, the Coinbase jail of holding your money for a week and then the price 10x's in the meantime, and all the fees they charge you and stuff like that. If somebody can access it more directly and more immediately and with less uncertainty, then that has a value. And so I think we'll see an interesting arbitrage opportunity to wrap and unwrap for people that know how to do bots and stuff. if there's a price differential between VTEX and Avalanche, we'll harvest that spread and set up a bot and put it to work, and people can earn yield in all kinds of ways. So the type of stuff we're seeing with DeFi Money Printer, shout out to him, on WanSwap, all of these skills can really be generalized and brought everywhere.
Shout out, DeFi Money Printer. Tuesday night, I had an 2-hour interview with him. I really encourage you to go back in there. And he has later posted in Telegram a timestamp to where he stepped up to the plate and he pointed to the left field and he swung and he knocked it out. Max, why don't you tell us about the Wormhole attack that on Tuesday night, the day before it happened, DeFi Money Printer called it?
Yeah, this is why we don't rush and why we really think hard about accepting any compromises. For example, during the value compromises in our core values, our commitment to them over time as changing circumstances occur on the ground. So our original promise to the world was immutable, and we had a situation where it was a question: should we become mutation resistant? And in the end, the answer was no. That would be a step too far and a compromise that is unacceptable. And so here, this just reinforces why the tortoise or the hare, there's a lot of advantages in terms of get rich quick and make a lot of money, flip it and I'm out before it all comes apart type of thinking. And sometimes you have a sugar daddy like Jump Trading that went in and made the Wormhole users whole out of the goodness of their hearts. If you know what I mean. There's no free lunch in this world, and that speaks to the value that can be harvested from operating these kind of things. So it could have been much worse. In the end, the world got lucky, and this just reinforces why we don't take a sloppy approach and we don't cut corners. And there were serious risks to even a single keystroke being wrong. I mean, the stuff that gets hacked, it's not like it isn't audited or peer reviewed or open source or strong, smart people that have known how to do this in other contexts. Just all software has bugs, especially that written by humans. And when you're dealing with an error-prone environment like Solidity and Turing completeness, this is why Epic doesn't have a smart contract language. We will get to very powerful capabilities, but we're going to get there in the right way. We've decided that it's unacceptable for our users to wake up every morning to this type of stuff. And we had our punch in the gut once, like BTC did in the value overflow incident in 2010, and nothing has ever happened since for 12 years. And we intend to set that same standard of 100% uptime as well. And so the type of stuff that we're seeing out there in Wormhole is what we really work very hard to avoid.
And speaking of that, last week, thank you very much. You gave an update on E3. And people can go back and take a look at that. But we continue to make progress there. But I just want to kind of bookend what you just said about the Wormhole attack. This is why Todd Lewis and the entire tech team have so diligently put E3 through the testing phase. Excuse me, and have beat it up and beat it up and beat it up and have found bugs and have beat it up and stuff. And this is why, when we say, hey, let's release it, it'll get the community off our backs. And Todd just pragmatically says, yeah, no. And we love that he's Eeyore, because an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of wormhole cure, if you know what I'm saying. Now, Max, somebody's asking, show a little leg. Who's in there? Valiant Felipe, show a little leg. So your Avalanche reveal is, a little bit of ankle, but now we need a little bit of leg. Can you please speak to Veriblock?
Yeah, so this is one of those things where I doubt that, there's 300 million crypto owners. I doubt that 10,000 people have ever heard of this, and of that, a small subset have taken a look at it, and then an even smaller subset of that have actually taken the time to go and drill into it. Essentially, what Veriblock is a way of leveraging the security of the Bitcoin Core network, specifically the memo field that in the transactions that's mostly unused, as a way of notarizing the information from what's known as the security inheriting chain. We've got a number of them that will be using their tech. I'll mention the first three today. Essentially, when we need to use proof of stake or proof of space-time or hierarchical delegated proof of stake, those are all ones that I'll mention today. There's a compromise in terms of the security, in terms of what it takes to attack them. And so what proof of proof technology from Veriblock enables us to do is to say, okay, the network agrees as of this point that the header tip hash, as it's called, the fingerprint of the most recent state of the data that the network agrees on. The Veriblock network of miners, they call them pop miners or transaction mining. It's integrated into wallet software such as Zelcore, where they can use the unused message space in the transaction field as they're sending BTC to get a little bit of the VBK token in exchange for writing our precious information into that BTC blockchain. And so the way that works out as the nervous system signal goes between our blockchain to theirs, or to BTC and then back to Veriblock, essentially it gives us with a 3-hour delay attack protection on these weaker consensus mechanisms. And so specifically, ECK uses a mix of proof of space-time and proof of work on random ARM, but we don't know how the pool distribution is going to be, because maybe one or a small number of pools will dominate on mobile. And essentially what you then have is a supernode, and any problem with that supernode, maybe there's some type of wormhole situation. Maybe Bitmart has a wallet script that gets hung up because it's unexpected condition or something like that. So it causes a bit of a delay as far as when you can be completely safe. That's 3 hours, which is a long time in crypto, but it's not that long. And it enables us to have all of these chains that use the proof of proof technology to have that security built in, and it just kind of runs on autopilot without having to worry about it, set it and forget it. Veriblock is an aggregator of that type of service for many chains. Ours will be the first that are publicly announced, I believe, which is a part of why they're so excited. They're going to come here on the show, and we'll talk about it. We'll see if we can get Todd and Diego and maybe Jordan and Tim Stahl from their side, and just really talk about what this means, because I think it's subtle, and I think a lot of people won't give us credit for it because it's so obscure, but it really shows our commitment to safety and high assurance and quality engineering practices. This technology has been out in a slightly more centralized form with a network called Komodo, KMD, that uses something called delayed proof of work. And Veriblock uses a distributed network of pop miners to do what Komodo has 64 federated nodes, where basically the people that started the project, they just run those nodes and decide who gets to run them and stuff like that. So if the node operators are corrupt, then the network has a problem. Pirate Chain, as an example, uses that particular tech, and I love it. I think it's great. I think it's more than safe enough, but it's one of those mutation resistant versus immutable kind of things. We're saying 99.99999% is not enough. It's got to be 100. And then increasingly, if your application can never blow up, as all these other systems have those type of problems, they take themselves off the playing field. Now we're 2 years old. Nobody's going to trust that so quickly, or very few. But year 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, the reputation for safety and reliability will command a premium. Back in the 1960s, they had a saying in IT: nobody gets fired for buying IBM. We're taking the long view, and we're going to dominate the high road of quality.
Amen. Thank you very much.
Good
Can you
stuff.
lastly speak a little bit, either you or Yoga, regarding mimblewimble Litecoin, because I think that that's a huge validation for Team Epic.
Why don't you take that one, Yoga? Because I'm all out of timers here.
do a timer reset, man. You know what? I'll jump in on this, but you know, I definitely want your anecdote on that, because I think that's actually very germane to the topic. But yeah, so Litecoin has been working with for a while now on integrating mimblewimble as a layer 2 into their blockchain to get more functionality-ish. But in case of Litecoin, I personally don't believe that it gives them a very noticeable improvement. What I do believe the reason they're doing that is to stay relevant, because mimblewimble is exciting tech. I mean, if you look at Litecoin, it's Bitcoin technology level. Think of Flintstones, I mean, Bitcoin level technology. Did I say Flintstones? Yeah, I meant that. So the thing is, to me, it's like putting really expensive lipstick on a pig, but they have a lot of users, they have a lot of market, they have a lot of PR, and they are PRing the crap out of mimblewimble. We are a layer 1 mimblewimble solution. So we have all the sexy without any of the pig. And them, you know, playing this up and creating all this awareness with their massive user base and their billions of dollars of marketing funds. This gives us that guy. Yes, that's the that's the Litecoin dev, I believe, right there.
He's
anyway,
the lead tech.
Yeah, the lead tech. And then there's that Barney guy. Anyway, yeah. So it's really cool for us because mimblewimble gets more validation, it gets more marketing recognition, it gets more recognized as a crypto term and less as obscure reference from Harry Potter's first book. You know, so it's a good thing. And again, we got it on layer 1. Right? Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember there? Yeah, they're layers. And we're the layer. So that's kind of it. But as far as mimblewimble, it's just the tech is so exciting that even Bitcoin maxis got like hot and bothered about it. And I think this is my segue into Max's thing, because that's a gem of a story.
Yeah, we're establishing a trend here in terms of our adoption early of technologies. Many people, I think, will come to recognize the value of fair block and subsequently adopt it. And with our high conviction, not monogamous, but definitely going steady and focusing there first with Avalanche, will increasingly be validated. Monero, we launched RandomX in September 2019, and I think they might have been November. We had Dandelion out of the box in September 2019, and they just released it, I believe, within the past few months. So a 2-year lag. Litecoin coming in with mimblewimble 2.5 years after we did on main chain is awesome, because we're on one exchange venue and it's a blockchain, so we're not going to come off it. Litecoin, I did an analysis the other day of which exchange venues comprise the Litecoin trading volume, and which of those cannot do, by their policies for whatever reason, any type of privacy assets. Bittrex, no privacy. When Litecoin flips privacy, watch, it's going to come off. May not be the same day, but whenever they get around to doing the risk review, there's a box on a form in some part of their organization where, for whatever reason, they've decided they don't want to do assets that have any kind of privacy. How do we know that? Because even though Zcash is only 2% private, they don't have it. Same like Dash, 1 out of 10,000 transactions might use the smoke and mirrors mixing over there. And same story, just shot to the head, no question. Crypto.com, if you have privacy, they are not listing you. And so 620, I think, was the number of pairs. There's going to be a negative market impact. And even when the network is purely privacy focused as its sole reason for existence, in the case of Zcash, when there's additional hoops to jump through and complication and friction and hassle, the adoption isn't there. So using Zcash as an example, 2%. All people all users or holders of Litecoin are going to suffer from those delistings, the shrinking of access to market. The people that are dusting off their portfolios because they have some old Litecoin that has been melting away in value, at least in BTC terms, are going to go look at it. Oh, what's this mimblewimble thing all about? I had a live stream with a gentleman the other day, a week or two ago, and he was all hot on the Litecoin train, and unfortunately, I had the task of explaining that. All right, if you want scalability, Litecoin does, or mimblewimble does that. That's why the Epic blockchain is 2 gigs on layer 1. But if you attach a 2 gig blockchain to the side of a 60 gig blockchain that you still need, and then there's all this complication of moving between them, you don't have scalability. You don't have fungibility, because the coins are fungible on the Litecoin, on the mimblewimble extension block among themselves. But when you move it to the main chain, they're still fully observable, because this is Bitcoin core code. Original Satoshi keystrokes is living today in Litecoin. And with the privacy, if less than 1% use it, and you're the only guy within 100 miles that is using it, how private is it really? And if you care about that privacy feature, are you really going to use Litecoin? And so I think this is an amazing engineering exercise. The Diffie-Hellman key exchange is something that we're going to use for our non-interactive transactions. So, thank you, Litecoin. We love you. And for long-standing Litecoin sufferers, we have a rehab hotline, and call us.
Hey, Max, can I show you this? And can you just opine on this? Because I believe, and I had last week, I had Enrique. Where's my frickin' mouse? Sorry, guys. Well, I can't, there it is. So if you take a look at LTC here, I had him add this. They are, supposedly fast, which is what's great about Litecoin. The transactions are fast and lesser expensive than BTC. They're basically, I'm a sales guy, round up $8 billion company. And if you take a look at now, this $8 billion company, to basically achieve some relevancy, and they're really excited with the announcement. And Max, you shared the link, the article in my show notes, everyone. I will include that link. You should read it, because it'll really get you excited about mimblewimble. And thus, when you take a look and say, hey, wait a minute, with Litecoin, they're attaching it to that bus on the outside of the bus. But with Epic Cash, it's always been part of the main bus. It is part of our original layer. It's not an afterthought. But I want to focus on this $7.83 billion versus our $27 million. Seems to me, what would the math be if we...
$600.
$600
bucks a coin.
Okay. Everybody hear that. You have an inferior coin with inferior tech that's $8 billion. What is your bag worth now? If we just got to that $8 billion, it'd be $600 a coin. Go to your coin market cap, get out your calculator, play around with it a little bit, and don't bet against us. Now, I just had to share that. Last thing I want to do is, and I'm looking at everybody here. This is very, very serious. And I'm bringing it up on the show because you're going to be seeing in the Telegram chats some discussion. We'll probably spin up a new group to be able to talk about this. But Max, Yoga, I'd like to be able to talk about cancer and cancer in a human body. We all know that you have to deal with it. You have to treat it. And many times, to not die, you need to be able to exorcise it. Well, you can have a cancer in a community as well. And I'd like to just use cancer as the analogy to be able to talk about what happens in a growing community, which ours is, when you have angry trolls, entitled free riders. What are the 5 buckets that we were talking about together? I want to give it to you guys, because this is something very serious, because we need to protect our community above all else. That is the greatest asset that we have, is you, and you. And we're going to protect you. And that's what's going to come with that is we need to determine, how do we deal with cancerous people in our community?
I think we need to take a historical lesson from Joseph Goebbels, the propaganda minister of the Nazis in World War II. And I believe it's his quote. I may have that wrong, but it's definitely aligned with those guys' thought process, which is that good people can't imagine that such evil actually exists. And it might have been Goering, essentially, that if you want to, a big lie that is completely unbelievable is better than a small lie, because people will say, oh no, there's no way that's possible. And so the shocker here is that not everyone wants to see us succeed. If you have a vested interest in something that is threatened by our success, the smart play is to switch over to our team, but not everybody is ready to do that, and it takes time and so on. Eventually, all roads lead to here, at least for rational people. It's just the math and logic of it. But when that resistance phase is there, there's a phenomenon of activity in these open spaces, these shared spaces that we come together in to communicate and coordinate. We're not really able to censor. Any moderation is seen as censorship. And most cases, 99 times out of 100, rightfully so, it's a slippery slope that we don't want to go down from censorship resistant to, censorship. I don't even know what that would be, but a degradation of that commitment. So it's a hot button issue. And we've been doing a lot of soul searching for quite some time about how to handle our cancerous cells. And so putting on the white coat and dusting off the oncology degree, we came up with certain buckets of really what we're dealing with here: angry trolls, attention seekers, entitled free riders, perennial malcontents, and well poisoners. And the propaganda techniques of people that have an axe to grind are quite subtle. And I, for one, have had quite enough of receiving panicked phone calls and texts from people in all walks of life, like your friend Rich. Shout out to you, Blakeford Helpington, if you're listening, or maybe when you catch up on the 120 videos we've done since I was here working and you were off lazing around. Welcome, better late than never, buddy. As you catch up on that, we are facing this issue of what to do and not compromise our values in responding to these certain type of people that spread dissent, dissension, negative energy, attention seeking on their life's problems. Oh, boo-hoo, look at me. I have this problem over here. Let me cry in my beer with 500 people listening. And by the way, the glass is half empty and it's full of poisoned water and we're all going to die. And the green candle should have been higher. I mean, a certain type of person just is never going to be satisfied because they're wired to be negative. And we want to recognize your struggle in dealing with that in your life, but also politely and respectfully request that you not do that. And if we've had to talk to you a dozen times, then it's entirely reasonable. We are starting to come to the conclusion, and please join us in the DAO governance channel or group to discuss this. We need to develop some formal standards of behavior of what we will tolerate, because we're mad as hell and don't need to take it anymore. If you are an entitled free rider and you are asking every day, hey, stop the car. We're not there yet. And I'm really frustrated about it. And I want to sit here while we're stopped and have the driver explain why we are not making enough progress. That's really what we're dealing with here. So grab an oar, get in the water, get to row and help us get there, or politely go stand aside and stop making it harder for us to do what we're trying to do. So I don't think we need to put meat on the bones of what constitutes an angry troll, attention seeker, entitled free rider, perennial malcontent, or well poisoner. But if we detect that sort of behavior, we're going to develop some standards that we can all agree to and say, as we go from 2,000 members in the main group to 20,000, that we're going to have 100 times this amount of stuff because there's going to be more money at stake. And as new people come in, it's not useful for 3 sock puppet trolls to have conversations with themselves over and over, polluting the well. I've received dozens and dozens of panicked voicemails and texts, and you know who you are out there responsible for this behavior. And it's not directed at any one person, but it really ends here. We have a lot to be excited about, and we're not going to allow that anymore. Yoga, what are your thoughts?
Yoga, can you please talk about the other bucket we didn't discuss, which you brought up artfully, which was competition?
Yeah, this is the other thing. And look, what Max is talking about, and we've been dealing with, any growing project has that. There are trolls, there are different, all these different categories of people. And one thing I just want to look, we're all freedom lovers, okay? And this is the one very fine distinction that I want people to understand. This is not about censorship. This is about your right as a community member not to be subjected to bullshit, to FUD, again and again and again. This is an encroachment on human decency that is not factual, and there is usually malicious intent. Now, the one bucket, sort of the one category that I've dealt with in my professional experience is competition. When you have competitors coming in, people with agenda coming in, okay, and they try to slowly erode. They're not going to go head on. They're going to pick some kind of a scab, and they're going to start picking some kind of particular scab, with ambiguity, with vague references, whatever. And they're not interested in facts. They didn't come to hunt bear. They came with a specific agenda to create a crack and widen that crack. And perfect example of that is the Monero community. Okay, Monero got as high as number 7 spot of all time cryptos. Okay, and today they're barely, they're hovering somewhere in the 50s. They lost their relevance partially because of exactly that type of competitor destructive behavior. I'm not saying the government is behind it, but this is a well-organized effort. So this is just one more reason to be mindful of that kind of thing. And look, we are transparent. We address legitimate questions. We have so many groups, we have Freeman University. If you're really concerned about the technology, you want to spitball about security, you want to talk about privacy, you want to talk about, hey, there's this other crypto, there's this other technology. Have you guys considered this? We have a group for that. We have a very well manned, group for that type of a discussion. But when people come in, this is what Max is talking about. And to me, the big destructive thing is when somebody yells fire in a crowded theater. There has to be accountability for that, okay? And there's no fire, okay? Because you're freaking people out for no reason. You're just, and some people just do it. Well, again, Max did the categorization thing, but some people don't even realize they're doing this, and they're being told time and time again to knock it off, and they just can't help themselves. At some point, somebody, we have moderators. We have group of moderators. There'll be rules, and moderators will execute.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about this because we are going to attack this head on as a community in the DAO governance. We're going to come up with basically a statement of facts, if you will, and what the consequences are going to be. And it's going to be a group thing. So it's not just going to be, a few people who are making any kind of decisions. No, this is open for everybody. We're just putting it on the table right now to talk about it because I don't want to see what happened this week. And Enrique, you were there. We were in the trading channel together. And I know we're not naming names, but I'm not going to name names, but I'm going to name the post, which is this week has been really cool. It's like we found bottom, and then it's been green candle, green candle, green candle. And then this dude comes in with this big, scary chart going down that just ignores those green candles and said, we're going to have to do way better than this. And then started in on all of this negative FUD bullshit. And it's like, my brain just went Enrique, when you saw that, was it just me?
Well, hold that thought, Enrique, because
Yeah.
I've been having a string on my finger so I don't forget. Just real quick, as we've seen before in some of these exercises, I always level set and say, if somebody sat in the strongest form of money, the default lazy option play in cryptocurrency has been to just stay in Bitcoin Core. And so if you're in another asset, Bitcoin Cash, BSV, Litecoin, Dash, Doge, any of these things, you have to be honest with yourself as an investor. Are you making money versus what you could have made by staying in BTC? And it's an optical illusion with the dollar hyperinflation we're going through, that you can be losing money in real terms, in many cases quite substantially so, but you think you're okay because your dollar number looks a certain way. And so I did an analysis. We're in February 2022. From 2021 to 2022, in BTC terms, Monero was down. 2021 to 2020, same thing. 19 to 20, 18 to 19. The only year that was slightly up was 2017, because we had that ridiculous bull market and it gave it all up. Like, unless you caught it at that particular click, you lost. And so like this type of sabotage stuff, Yoga has been there, Diego has been there, I've been there. Like, we see storm clouds gathering, evil forces massing on the horizon, wanting to rape and pillage our women and children. And we need to put up walls against that type of stuff, or else we're going to get however high we're going to get. And then those ticking time bombs are going to be planted there, long range subterfuge, and we will never, ever come back. So we're determined not to let that type of stuff happen to us.
Amen.
That's it.
Enrique, do you have any
Yeah,
comment on this?
I wanted to add that when you pick a short time frame, to fit a narrative that you want to throw out, I mean, I don't take that kind of stuff too seriously. I zoom out, I look at the whole chart, I look at the development, the network growth, and yeah, so I don't really take those kinds of things too seriously, even though it brings up a lot of discussion on the groups. But that's my view on it.
I love what Johanna said in the chat. He said, I left the trading channel last week. I sleep better now.
I think it has some entertainment value, but honestly,
Yeah.
Enrique, to your point, you don't take it seriously. I don't take it seriously, but not everybody has a decade of hardened, cynicism built up.
Yeah.
From being in the crypto industry, and before that, from being in Forex or stock exchange, or this is not a new phenomenon. Yeah. Trolls are not a new phenomenon.
Every time China banned crypto back in 2017, I was like, hey, I'll pay you half what it was yesterday. Yeah. And then 3 days later, we're going to the moon. Okay, and now it's time to sell.
People write it, people write it. And to me, Epic has been about merit. It's been about, if somebody says, hey, the candle is not as green as it can be. Well, it's a volunteer meritocracy. Okay, so what have you done to make the candle greener?
Yes.
Everybody has the power. And to me, and this is one thing, I want to take a small bit here and pitch my proof of merit concept. Okay, we have proof of work. Okay, and everybody knows what proof of work is by now. But Epic proof of work mining requires hardware, and there are associated costs, electricity, etc. Some miners are earning less than a block of Epic Cash a day. Okay, they're earning like 1 Epic a day, and the difficulty has been going up. We're growing. We're generating interest. We're bringing in miners. So mining is a challenging proposition. But the one thing that people don't realize is that there's this other force that we have. We even created a tool for it, epicfundme.com, that really rewards merit. And what is merit? We move things forward through action. We don't move things forward through sitting in a trade forum or some other group, and saying, hey, when am I going to be rich, guys? Can you call me? Can I get an easy button so just money falls from the sky? We're creating awareness. We're reaching for mass adoption. This is a process that takes time, but everybody can play a role in it to accelerate the process. we get those guys once in a while that come in and say like, hey, I got a 1 billion people channel, and if you guys throw some money at me, I will promote Epic. And to me, it's like, well, if you really do have this faith in your channel, buy some Epic, promote it, and profit. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So to me, introducing the proof of merit, crypto mining alternative.
Hey, yoga.
Yes. I'm on a roll, man.
Someone in the trading channel, one of the three who keeps coming back like an unflushable turd as a different sock puppet, we can tell who you are, keep saying the same thing. And their form of merit is, I was here early.
And you got rewarded. That's it. You got paid for it.
Well,
that's it. You were here. If you were here early and you were participating, this is like, I remember way back in Bitcoin days, somebody was saying like, the thing came up like, well, why do you deserve to have an opinion? And they go, well, I've been mining, I'm a miner. And because of that, I deserve compensation. Yeah, that's called mining reward. You get paid every time you mine. So that's one thing that it's a reward in itself.
Yeah.
But the question to me then is, if you're mining, especially if you were here since day one, why are you shitting on a project? I can almost respect, here's the thing, I can almost respect as a player who's trying to drive the price down through FUD or whatever to grab a position. People do that, okay? That's some people, that's literally their go-to strategy, okay? You just parry something and then you buy it on the cheap. But man, if you try keep doing that again and again and again and again, and every time you're confronted on it, you're like, hey, whoa, what? I've been here since day one. I'm the guy. I'm cool. It's like, no bullshit, man. Sooner or later that gets called out. Okay. Yeah. So let me just knock out my really brief and saying, okay, look, here's proof of mining. Proof of merit. Anybody can do this, and everybody should be doing this. Okay. Step one: do things that promote Epic Cash. Yes. Document it. Step two, document it on epicfundme.com. Step three, earn Epic Cash from the grateful community. Step four, go to step one. Okay. Okay. And that's it. Epic proof of merit allows you to monetize your enthusiasm. It allows you to monetize. It's better than sitting in the trade channel, waiting for somebody to drop next meme or whatever.
You know what? Okay. You know what? DeFi Money Printer embodies proof of merit. This is a guy that just gets involved everywhere he can, and he tries to add value, leads with his chin, not his hand out, and just tries to make things better.
Uncle, and you do, and Enrique, and you do, and Max, and you do, and it's humbling. And we have thousands of people that do. That's the thing. Okay,
most people do.
In fact, most people do. It's that. In Russian, we have this expression about how a spoonful of tar destroys a barrel full of honey. Okay. Yeah. It's that type of thing. And we just don't have to put up with it. Okay. Epic, and the other half of the equation, the merit part where people do things to make things better. So from the flip side of that, for Epic Cash holders, for the people who already got bunch of Epic Cash through work, through merit, through investment, etc., there's an obvious benefit to support these people because they're moving the needle on the present value proposition. Okay. So those of us, like I look at, epicfundme.com all the time to see who deserves, some of my hard-earned Epic, and I'll send it to them. And many of you guys do that. And the community is a very grateful community. We'll literally funded tens of thousands of Epics to people through this meritocratic approach. I just want to create more awareness that such mechanism exists, that don't despair it, that, look, you don't have money and you don't have a strong enough computer to really grab a meaningful chunk of Epic. Jump in, become a community, awareness generator, become an evangelist, tell your friends, bring people in, support our social media efforts, become a social media influencer yourself. It's your enthusiasm, convert it, and you'll get paid for that.
I just want to call a quick time out here and say something that that maybe I'll regret, but I don't think so, because it is in the Hello World white paper that we do have within our ecosystem O levels. And I just want to tell everyone, just because this is just to put an exclamation point on what Yoga just said. It's like when I started covering Epic Cash, I went through You guys all know about the shitcoin trial. Yeah, I love that. I put people through our leaders of projects through the shitcoin trials, and Max was one of them who came up and you know the story. 45 minutes became 2.5 hours, and the rest was history. Once I had that, which was about 9 months ago, and I started covering it, and Max kept coming back week after week. Goodness, I don't know if it was 4 months or whatever, but I just kept covering it. I kept investing. And then all of a sudden I noticed that I'm in Telegram and I'm in a specific group to where there's 25 people or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Okay, this is cool. I'm kind of getting to see. And then all of a sudden I wake up one day and I'm like in a different group that, and so I know for a fact that there are certain disgruntled people who left Epic Cash or turned their back on Epic Cash because they were butthurt because they didn't feel like they had a seat at the table. Well, I will tell you, if you're watching and listening, anybody in the community, a rising tide lifts all ships. And if you're part of the rising tide that just doesn't go like this or say, hey, I want an invitation or whatever, it just happens organically based upon your merit. Based upon your merit. I just have to say that because I know in 2 cases, people turned their back on the community and tried to harm the community because they didn't feel like they had the seat at the table. And I just want to tell everybody, I never had a seat at the table. It's just all of a sudden, I had a seat at the table. So I don't know, Yoga or Max, if you can comment on that.
Yeah. So there are at least 500 different groups out there, maybe 1,000. I haven't counted them. We're working on a directory system so people can find them. I got to be in a few hundred myself. And so a great example, it's not like there's a table and, oh, hey, a nice cigar. Would you like some brandy? Here's some caviar. Should we get Bob in? No, my son, Steve. No, it's like Lisa Light and Influential Augur have decided to put together a newspaper called Ellipsis that communicates to people what's going on in the different parts of our world: awareness and communications, business development, outreach, impact, technical development, treasury, all the different guilds. And everything is open to everyone, but it needs to be constructive and add value because there's a lot of work to do. And this is not a spectator sport. It's a participatory exercise. And so if you have a great idea for something, then the next step is, well, what is preventing you yourself from going and doing that? If you need help with that, then find somebody that says, hey, who do you know that can do this, can do that? Bruce Paulson said, hey guys, I want to do SEO for your website. Who can help me fill out the questionnaire and I'll go do the work? So we find the people, we connect them. This person knows what you don't. Now that 1 + 1 = 11, boom, you're off to the races. And
buddy
so
system,
taking individual initiative, grassroots, we're working on many things to make that even more obvious and easy and facilitated for people. But that's really where it starts. I love the proof of merit idea. We can definitely build on that. And people are really making a lot of money. If you lost your job and have time on your hands, well, figure out what skill you have that would be useful to what we're trying to do. Don't ask permission, just go do it. If there's any problems, ask forgiveness. We'll figure it out. We'll clean up the spilled milk. How bad can it be? The greater loss is in people thinking that they need to wait to ask.
You cut out. Max, you're muted.
He cut out. Well, you know what? His 2-minute timer now has a cutoff.
Hardwired. Wow.
Yeah. Well, you sent me that electronic shock collar when I go past 2 minutes. So.
Hey, real quick, I just want to give a shout out to Ryan Comiskey. He made my Friday. When I'm talking about, seat at the table, chair at the table, he says BYOC. Build your own chair. That is beautiful.
That's it.
That summarizes it perfectly. That is merit-based system. So, hey, look, guys, we went 15 minutes over, and
Uncle, can I just steal another tiny bit? Okay. One thing also people need to realize, and we see this again from the trolls, and maybe some people don't understand what's going on, but when somebody comes in and says, well, this shouldn't have been done like this, and this shouldn't have been done like that, and this should have been, again, first of all, nobody's stopping you. But the other thing you got to be mindful of is you can't stop other people from doing stuff. Okay. If somebody comes into the community and decides to drop 10 million bucks to get us listed on Binance or I don't know, whatever. Two things. One, you can't stop them from doing that. That's on them and they're doing it. They're taking responsibility for their action. Two, nobody's forcing you to use it. Okay. You have the freedom of not being a part of it instead of being a rancid troll. So the option is there.
Yeah.
By the way, there's a troll in the house. Meet Alex. Why is Epic Cash not growing? I responded, Alex, you're not paying attention. And then he says, I've been paying attention since October and nothing but disappointment. What kind of troll would you classify dear Alex in? Because I said, well, sell your bag. I will over the counter with you, Alex. DM me. I'll be happy to be able to buy your bag.
Yeah, I was going to say most of these people are no coiners.
No coiner.
So that's the other
skin in the game.
Yeah.
All right, back, Alex. This show is dedicated to Alex, the no coiner. If you are a coiner, Alex, prove me wrong. I'll come out next Friday and say that you and I had a little OTC discussion, and now I'm holding your bag because that offer's on the table. You're disappointed. Let's get out of it. The price today. I will give you $1.94 for all of your Epic. DM me. No pointer. All right.
Mic drop.
But Alex comes back. But what happened to the bit, Mark? Listen, man. Well,
is that the sock
puppet? You've been here since October. We've only talked about it 500 freaking times, Alex. 321. Does that mean anything to you? Negotiated another coin instead of 50,000 bucks. It's called E1. We're going through the legal process. Have you been paying attention, Alex? Did you hear Mike Mabola talk about it last Friday? Disappointed. I'm so disappointed.
Uncle, sometimes I'll tell you my story about bear hunting.
Bear hunting. Okay.
He's just not here to hunt bear. That's all. I mean, that's not what these people want. They don't really have a question. They don't really want an answer. That's the underlying reason.
Yeah, Alex, who are you in Telegram? Huh? Come on, Alex. Who are you in Telegram? Tell me what you've done.
Yeah, that's the second question right there. Who are you and what have you done to move the needle?
Yeah.
Look in the mirror before you pop off. Look in the mirror.
Who's paying your salary and what uniform are you wearing?
Yeah, Alex. I don't know, man. It just kind of looks your profile pic looks a little bit like a seaport. I don't know. Maybe I have that wrong. Okay, guys. Well,
much love, folks.
Alex, thank you for making my day, and I really, really want you to reach out to me. And I'm sorry, Alex. He said, what happened there on Bitmart? You said you're paying attention since October. We've only talked about it 50 times. So you're not paying attention. So up yours, you're a waste of time. If you have any real questions, you know how to reach me on Telegram. Maybe you don't know how to reach me on Telegram because you aren't paying attention. You're not even in the chats. I've never seen you. You're nothing. You're dead to me, Alex. I'm sorry. This kind of stuff, it just is annoying. And you are the kind of person who, yeah, perfect. You're a no coiner. If you are a coiner, reach out to me, Alex. I will buy your bag. Okay, with that, Enrique, I want to say
dropping microphones.
I want to say thank you for your amazing analysis. Thank you for the pullbacks following the all-time highs. I hope everybody goes back and looks at that again, because history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. So based upon that rhyme, the next all-time high should be pretty quick and glorious. Yoga, thank you for all of your wisdom that you exude every week. And Max Freeman, founder of Epic Cash, thank you for giving us the time every Friday to give us a little insight into that supercomputer brain of yours, and the added context with Veriblock and Avalanche. Everyone in the chats except you, Alex, want to thank you for joining us. And Alex, I want to thank you for following up with me on Telegram and letting me buy your bag at $1.94. That's my offer to you. I'll buy every single one of your Epic. Okay, guys. Well, until next week, I hope you have a great weekend and a great week, and have an epic